Hello, my name is Bailey Gargis, and today I would like to talk about coffee culture in Colombia. So today I want to talk about the history of Colombian coffee, kind of where it started and where it is today, a bit about Colombian geography that makes Colombia such a great spot for growing coffee, a fictional character named Juan Valdez, the town of Santa Marta in Colombia, in addition to a discussion about Colombian coffee culture as a whole. First, let's dive into the history of Colombian coffee. So, funny enough, coffee is actually not native to Colombia. It was brought over by Jesuit priests in the early 1700s who encouraged people who came with them, as well as people currently living there, to plant coffee trees as a part of religious penance. And so that led to lots of coffee trees being planted. And kind of led to the first exports in the early 1800s. Although it is believed that Jesuit priests introduced coffee, there are lots of legends and stories about the introduction of coffee in Colombia that you can Google, but that theory behind Jesuit priests bringing it over is the most prevalent and widely accepted. So after those Jesuit priests brought it over, exports started happening, and coffee exploded in popularity throughout the 19th century, most likely due to Juan Valdez, and it is still expanding today. Colombia is the third largest exporter of coffee, just behind Brazil and Switzerland. Colombian coffee also makes up 6% of the global coffee market, just kind of given some statistics for how big Colombian coffee truly is. Most of Colombian coffee is also a coffee bean that is called the Arabica variety, which is known for its sweet, light flavor that people have really come to love. So, why is Colombia such a good place to grow coffee? Mainly a few things: the high altitude, climate, rainfall, and soil all jive together super well to just make a prime location for growing coffee. In particular, these high altitudes kind of keep everything at a cooler temperature. And they also have that specific kind of volcanic soil prevalent in Colombia that just really work well for the coffee bean. The higher the altitude, the more complex the bean's flavor profile is. So the Andes Mountains that go right through Colombia are a perfect place to grow lots of coffee trees. In addition, Colombia has a very nice climate of kind of the ideal temperature for growing coffee, which is between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So that works out real well. In addition to that, Colombia also receives on average 70 inches of rainfall per year, which is pretty perfect for coffee beans. And Colombia also has a dry season, which is also perfect because it promotes flowering of the coffee cherries to lead to just an overall better bean. So here's a map of Colombia, in particular looking at the coffee triangle, which is composed of this northern coffee region, central coffee region, and southern coffee region. Lots of towns on the Andes Mountains that kind of run through here where all of the coffee is produced are labeled. In particular, I want you guys to take a look at Santa Marta, which is up on this northern tip of Colombia, because it has some pretty unique aspects I'll talk about later. Now let's talk about Juan Valdez. So Juan Valdez is this fictional character that was created by the National Federation of Coffee Growers of Colombia in 1959, and he is a big reason for the explosion of coffee popularity in the 19th century that I was talking about a little bit earlier on. So Juan is a humble coffee farmer with a trusty mule, Conchita, as pictured here to the right, but that's just a man playing Juan Valdez. He's actually not a real person. Juan Valdez was created to humanize and exemplify the traditional Colombian coffee processes and just kind of bring out this Colombian pride that is super present in Colombian culture, all for like food, their culture, and especially their coffee. So Juan made Colombian coffee kind of a hugely successful and worldwide thing. And there are actually Juan Valdez coffee shops that you can go to and go get an authentic cup of Colombian coffee. Now let's dive into Santa Marta, that town on the northern side of Colombia, right there next to the Caribbean Sea. In Santa Marta, 70% of the coffee growers are indigenous Arhuco people. These indigenous people really consider coffee as Earth's gift to them. So these indigenous people have almost a conversation between themselves and nature and really focus on the fact that their life is honored with coffee and they truly believe that coffee is the earth's gifts to them. So kind of going along with those ideologies, they do something called making pagamento, where they ask nature to plant coffee. So they make sure that the earth gives them permission to plant this coffee. And then if it does, at the time of harvest, those who are harvesting the coffee, which all of the coffee in Colombia is actually hand harvested, or not all of it, but a lot of it, which really shows Colombians' dedication to quality instead of quantity, where they get these better beans as they're all harvested at the perfect time, not just a machine comes through and scrapes all the beans off of the coffee trees. They're truly ready for consumption when they're pulled off the trees. And another cool fact about Santa Marta is it's actually the world's tallest seaside mountain, and the Caribbean breeze truly gives a unique flavor to the beans that is not prevalent elsewhere. I've attached this video below about a super cool walkthrough of the Santa Marta region. There just isn't too much time to show it during this presentation, so feel free to click on it if you guys would like to check it out. Now let's talk about culture altogether. So the most popular times are actually between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. because coffee is often a social drink. You go with your family, you go with friends, you go as like an informal work meeting. It's kind of where people sit and hang out and talk, and they'll enjoy an espresso or a regular cup of coffee or a cup of coffee with milk. Another fun fact is whenever you visit a friend or a family member, typically coffee is offered right away. It's kind of the first thing, and it's just something that a host will do to be hospitable. And similar to Swedish fika, coffee is very, very prevalent in Colombia, and everyone enjoys coffee over conversation or just hanging out with people you care about. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation about Colombian coffee culture. Here are my references. Thank you. Bye.